Okay, welcome to season 2. We're at season 2. That was pretty intense right there. We just came in hot. We are in season
excited.
2. We're back.
We're back. We made it through the holidays.
We did.
We started a new year.
We're
already a month in.
We are. And we are excited about some of the things we want to share with you this season. Do you have any idea of the things we're going to be doing this season? Do you know?
Well, I know we're going to be talking on marriage.
Of course.
Children.
Of course. What else?
Yeah. What are some of the other ones? My mind is slipping.
Well, we're going to be talking about some things that maybe many people don't talk about in the church. We'll give a kind of a little, like a little teaser.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I mean, I know you mentioned intimacy.
Intimacy, that's right. And then we're going to be having special guests on.
Yes, that's right. I forgot.
We are in the process of trying to get our kids to come on.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
That's going to be hard.
We want them to, but they're all like, no, thank you.
That's right.
We'll see what we can do. We'll see. I mean, we can always bribe them with money.
Right.
Candy.
Right. Candy. Yeah.
The older one's money, the younger one's candy.
But here's the deal. What we want to do, a couple things as we get into this episode. This is episode 10, by the way. Did you know that?
Oh,
this
I
is
did not
10.
know,
Yeah, we did 10. We did 9. Now this is the
2.
10th. And we are now in 2025. And what we want to do is, number one, we want to tell you to like and share and follow.
I hear you on that. And I know it's needed to say that.
Well, because we want to make sure that we connect with our people. And here's the other thing too. If you're listening to this or watching this, we want to hear from you. We really do. And sometimes people just assume we don't. We do. And we want to know like questions you have, because we're actually going to do an episode in this season. We're going to answer people's questions.
Yes, we're going to do a Q&A. Yes. So we want to know your questions.
We want to know them.
And so they can DM us if they don't want to put it on the actual post,
right?
right?
Okay, in Instagram,
how
yes.
How do they get these
or you could just put it in the
us?
comments. You can do that. Or, we'll put some information on the podcast or where you can email us.
Yes.
Remember old email? Maybe send a letter.
A lot of people still use emails.
Right.
Snail mail.
Old people.
Snail mail, but by the time that we got that,
old people like us, we use email. Okay.
Yeah. So send us your questions. Send us things that maybe you're dealing with that we can maybe speak into. We might not have all the answers, but we will find something to talk about that topic.
That's right. This is 10 and 2. My name is Mark.
I'm LeeAnn, and we are navigating life with 10 children.
10 children. We're taking you on a journey, the highs and lows, talking about from a biblical perspective, and we hope you follow along. In last season, we talked about having 10 kids. We talked about being a man. What does it mean as men to rise up? Women. Remember some of the things we talked about? Any thoughts on the last season? Anything that you feel like you've learned through doing this? And maybe even some, like, give a little recap of like maybe some things that people have told you about last season.
I feel like last season was encouraging just in the fact when I talk to people, they're like, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for talking about it. Because I'm one that I just feel like, doesn't everybody know this, or doesn't everybody going through this, or don't people know? And a lot of times I'm finding out that people aren't talking about it, or they feel alone in something because it's not being shared. So like when we talked about, the postpartum and the loss of children and all that, those topics, that people don't necessarily talk about. They found comfort in that. So I'm learning like it is nice to have a space where people can feel seen and heard.
I think the thing that I walked away was surprised to hear who is listening.
Oh,
it's not like we have a giant, fan base right now. But we do have interesting people that are listening. Some of them are older, like,
that actually surprised me. When the older generation, I'm like, I feel like you need to teach us some things, like share with us your little secret and nuggets, and maybe they might be guests on the show at some point.
At some point, but we should. But I mean, it's just been interesting who have been watching, and then even some of the connections outside of our church area and friendships, like people that may be on YouTube or Instagram that just kind of discovered us and they're starting to follow. And I just think it's interesting how the story kind of transcends, like, what people like. There's just not a whole lot of information out there from a family our size that is following the things of the Lord. We've been in the Word, and let me just say this: there is, with every new year, right? There's these things called New Year's resolutions. Are you aware of that?
I've heard of them. Yes.
Okay, so you've not made any this year.
No, I mean,
did you ever make any?
Yes, I've made. Everybody has, but
Tell me some New Year's resolutions you've made. Tell me some.
I'm going to work out.
Okay.
I'm going to eat better.
Okay. Typical ones.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Right.
usually the common ones, but I've learned, like, you know what? I can think it in my head, but maybe not say it because I probably won't
Right.
finish it.
Okay. So here's the other thing too. Like, a lot of times in New Year's, we make resolutions, and at the gym that I go to, we see people come in. They come in
You're
hot.
so dedicated,
Well,
sweetie.
I mean, I'm not. I'm just
You
old.
are.
I
Get
have
up
to be
every day, and you
it's
go.
not every day.
He
It's
goes
not every day.
and
Anyway,
gets
enough
in
about
that
me.
CrossFit.
Enough about me. Listen, what
And I lay
I don't
in the
want to
bed.
talk about that. I want to talk about the fact that there is a day. I found this out this year, called Quitter's Day. Are you aware of that?
I just learned about that this year.
Okay. It is the second Friday, and this year it fell on January 10th. So obviously it's already passed. But January 10th was Quitter's Day, and the idea is that people will quit their resolution or their whatever their dedication was. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that by the second Friday of the year. That's sad.
That's really sad, actually.
Like, why
They didn't even give it a month. I mean, at least give it a month.
Not even a month. It's just like all of a sudden we shoot for the stars, and we can't even get out of the orbit. I think that's crazy to me, and I think about like how now we've become such a culture of quitting that we've now found a day that we estimate is the day when most people quit their resolutions. So one of the things that we've started this year. We grew up in a church. We grew up in a Christian family. We've read the Bible. I was in Christian school. I've done Bible class. I mean, I've studied the Bible, all these things. But this year, we've decided as a couple, we were going to go through the whole Bible together. So that's something.
That's something we started, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been good because I think going together, we can actually talk through it. Like, we could talk about like some of the crazy stuff that's happened in the Old Testament.
The Bible has some crazy things.
Maybe we should do a podcast on just the Bible.
Some
but
things are just
one of the
below
things,
my mind.
one of the things that we also do as a church, we did it in January. It's 21 days of fasting and prayer,
yes,
and we have
which
been
was
so
awesome.
Yeah, we've been so yeah. Let's share some thoughts about that.
Well, there's just something. I mean, like you said, it's biblical, but then also science has proven fasting.
It's good for you.
Is good for your body. Obviously, when you partner that with prayer, you're doing amazing things for your whole body, your mind, spirit, soul, and all of it. So
awesome. and your body
and your strength. Right.
And so one of the things that we have really sought or really decided to do, not only as a church but even as a family, is to really study the Word together. Encourage our kids to get in the Word. That could be a whole nother topic, maybe a whole nother message here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, to kind of go into the topic of today's episode, the title is A Day in the Life of a Parent of 10 Kids. That's a long title.
That is a long title.
So I'm going to ask you a series of questions because really, there's a lot of things that I do, but there's a lot more things that you do in a day in the life of a parent of 10 kids. So I'm going to kind of systematic, and the reason why we're doing this, let me just say this first,
I was gonna
is
say
this is probably the single most question we get asked almost all the time is, like it's a combination of questions.
Yeah.
It's like, what does a normal day look like for you? Oh my God, I can't, how do you get through that? How do you get through that? How do you do that? What does it look like, going food shopping? What kind of car do you drive? All these things that kind of really, the essence of the question is like, what's a normal day like for you?
I've had people like, can I just come sit on your couch and watch you guys just all interact and what you guys do?
Yeah, like we're some kind of like...
Which I feel like that would be boring, but if you want to.
Boring is not the word I would have picked. I would have picked something else. It would have been entertaining. We've always thought like some of these people, like back in the day, there was a show called John and Kate Plus 8. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
She was the perfect Karen. Oh, sorry for the Karens I've offended.
I hope she's not listening.
I don't think she's listening. But like that was like following this woman who had like, how many kids did she have at once?
6, and then she had twins before that. So it was 6. So that made 8.
There's the 8. Okay. So this was this thing, and it was like a hot mess at the end, right?
Well, it didn't end well, but that show was fascinating. This is way before we were, I don't even know how many kids we had. But way before we even thought we would have all these children.
Right.
So it was fascinating to watch a family with all those little kids and all the little kids at once. At least with ours, we didn't have multiples. Yeah. It was single. So they kind of grew with us, but to have 6 little babies. Yeah. It was amazing. But
the point of it was pretty crazy. And we've watching now this whole podcasting, vlogging, families. Our family follows a couple families that have kids and do the podcast vlog, and they are like fascinated with these families. And I'm thinking, guys, you guys are a sitcom right here. But we don't want to do that because we realize that would probably lead, I don't know, that might not be good. Our
kids are not into this, and we respect that. They don't even they won't even let us take a picture and put it on Instagram hardly. It's like they don't want to be they don't mind us talking of them, but they don't really want to be part of any sort of family culture type exploitation. I don't know. Well, so we respect that. I don't mind. I don't think if my parents were doing something, I'd want to be on their thing either. Because back then I didn't want to be filmed or recorded or anything like that. So I understand where they're coming from.
I think, we got a little taste of it years ago when we did a show called
House Hunters.
Okay, just want to see if you remember it. Remember House Hunters?
Yeah, you got me into that. He was like, you want to, I think I'm going to apply for House Hunters. I'm like, why?
Well, because we were looking for a house. Yeah. And it just so happened to be
that. Why still? Like, who says that? So
I was
fun. Like, yeah.
It was a big show back in the day.
Just go ahead and do it because they're not going to pick us.
Right.
And they picked us.
And we did the House Hunter show.
And that ended up being that was fun.
It was fun.
We had a good time.
We also realized
kids interacted. They were fine.
Yeah, but we also realized it was a lot of work.
It was a lot.
And so we were like, no, thank you. So although we won't be doing a daily vlog anytime soon at all, never. But we will today walk through what a typical day looks like. So are you ready to share the details, the good and the bad? Now, here's the deal. Nobody wants to hear all the highlights because that's what people do. It's like, oh, my kids get up and they read a book and, they eat all natural foods and they go out in the garden and they take the eggs from the chickens. And, nobody wants to hear this kind of unobtainable level. Like they want to hear all the good, juicy issues.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it how it is. That's why I'm like, okay, is this interesting? I guess it is.
So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, it's a new year, and I want you to share details of a day in the life of a parent of 10 kids. Let's start off by the morning. What does a typical morning routine of 10 kids look like for you?
Okay, so an ideal morning would be me getting up before the children.
Yeah.
I thrive if I can get out of the bed before them.
Right.
That doesn't always happen because we are in the stage of life where we have the younger children and the older children. So sometimes I'm up later because I'm waiting for some older children to get home.
Well, okay, pause for a moment because we got to make sure we give details. What is the age range of our kids? Tell them that.
Well, our oldest is 22.
Yeah, that's a boy, right?
Yeah, all the way down to 2.
Which is a boy.
Right.
Bookends are boys.
Right.
8 girls in between. So 22 to 2.
So, and they all still live at home.
All still live at home.
They're all with us still.
They're all still with us.
So I cannot, I've gotten better going to bed without them being home, but there's some times where I can't fall asleep till I know everybody's in the house.
Well, yeah, because we have older kids now that work. So,
right.
So they'll work. Sometimes they work till 10.
Or hanging out with friends, whatever. Yeah. So that'll keep me up a little bit later than I'd like. Okay. Or this guy will go off into some sort of thought process that keeps me up a little bit longer. Okay. Or whatever. So if I don't go to bed when I want, it's harder to get up in the morning. Okay. So like I said, ideally,
yes, if
I can get up, I would do that.
Now, the reason why that is not, it doesn't happen all the time is because we have some early risers, right?
Early risers, yeah.
One or two in particular.
Right. They'll be up early and
They
God
just get
bless
right
them.
to work.
Yeah.
Right to work.
They're so happy. They're like pleasant, like this is the day the Lord has made, risers. And I'm more like I have to like ease my way into the day. Yeah. So I try to embrace their vibrancy for life and let it fuel me, but sometimes it's a lot. Anyway.
Okay.
So they're up and what do I do? Okay, so I come downstairs and usually the first thing I do is I hopefully prepared myself the night before for the next morning, and the dishwasher is ready to be unloaded. So I'll try to get that unloaded. I try to put on a load of laundry, get that started. Make the coffee.
So let me just say
Those are my 3 points that I always go to.
That is a big question. What does laundry look like? And all I can say is we could desperately use a whole nother set of two sets of washers and dryers. We pray that the washers and dryers will not quit on us. That would be very, very bad. The washer and dryer and the dishwasher get used. Dishwasher gets used at least twice a day, maybe 3 times a day.
Right. And the washer machine and dryer, they just run all day, every day. Yeah. Like they never sleep nor
break.
Slumber. Unless I give myself a break from doing laundry. But when I do that, I do back myself up a little bit. And that even happens when the older ones do their own laundry.
They do their own laundry.
Still can't keep up with it.
Okay, we're still in the very beginning part.
Sorry.
I'm going to find little things. I'm going to interject because I know there's certain questions people always asking when you hit one. So the washer, the dryer,
I'm getting
the
these
dishwasher.
things set up for my day.
Yeah.
All while trying to get little ones cereal or some sort of breakfast.
What's one of the most important things besides getting in the Word in the morning? What's the other little thing there?
Coffee.
Right.
Yeah, I'm getting the coffee going.
Yeah.
We have done the pour over thing. And
it's life changing.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
And you're usually you do good about making that because then as I'm doing that, in walks my husband from the gym that he's so dedicated.
Well, I mean, as much as I can to being a 50-year-old. So I got to come back just so that I could stay alive and active. Come back.
You're doing a great job.
Usually you're up and then I'll kind of do the coffee or you'll do the coffee and we'll kind of get in that routine. Now we're reading through the Bible together. So we go sit down and do that.
Yes.
The kids are working through it. Then what's the next phase? Well,
I will say I'm in the other room trying to read the Word because I want to start off and pray for you guys and all that. But meanwhile, being interrupted 37,000 times. So it's not like I'm
all the time
sitting here. I will say, guys, let me just drink my coffee while it's hot. Can I do that? Or guys, can I just let me get through this chapter? Mom needs Jesus for a minute.
Yes.
But seriously, I need more cereal. Can I have some milk?
Right.
My diaper needs to be changed. This one hit me screaming. So it's not like it's this like perfect, glorious
and
moment.
I think that's the thing too. Like I'm also going to interject with little nuggets to inspire our people.
Okay.
Like the quintessential sitting by a beautiful window, the sun's coming up, you're sipping your coffee, it's the perfect temperature. There's birds chirping in the air, nobody's bothering you, got this beautiful, robe on and everything looks great. And, like that just doesn't happen. It's not a perfect setting.
It does happen if I get up at 5:30.
Oh, right.
I can have that. I can have it. But the problem is I can't get myself out of the bed.
You got to beat those kids. You got to get up before them, man. They're on point.
They're going.
So we get through that.
So then we going through that, and then it's time to get ready for the day. So we're all going to get dressed. And I will say I am big on, I get myself dressed, hair done, makeup on every single day. Okay. I just find that important. Yes. I don't, even if I'm not going anywhere, because most of the days, I mean, my going somewhere will be Target or Walmart or Publix. They're my stopping places. So it's not like I'm going anywhere. But I feel like for me, I feel better about myself. And if I can get out of sweat.
Right, you've made a point of that to say that is something that you think helps women, especially stay-at-home moms, because obviously that's kind of where we're going with this. That they need to prepare themselves for the day because they'll feel better as they present the day, just by like what I heard years ago, and it's so true, is that successful people make their bed.
Yes.
It's like a simple discipline of getting up, making your bed. And it's amazing how much it does make a difference.
Yeah.
Especially at the nighttime when you come back in. But it's a routine. Successful people know the routine.
The routine.
As I listen
exactly.
to entrepreneurs and leaders of CEO leaders or high-level leadership, they get into routines. And sometimes we think, well, routines is like, it stifles my creativity, especially if you're creative. And it really actually enhances your creativity. I think the same thing for you, because you mentioned that to me, how important it is for you to get dressed, wash, your face, your hair, put on makeup. And because I told her, I said, sweetie, you're beautiful without makeup. You don't need makeup. And she's like, no, I do this so that you find me attractive. And I said, well, I find you attractive without makeup. But we have this long discussion. And I just throw on her compliments.
It's more for me, too. Like, when I look in the mirror, I don't want to look like, whoo, she's rough. She has 10 children. I want to kind of look like, okay, she looks like she's doing okay. So
you're preparing. I'm preparing. Of course, at some point, I leave to go to church.
Well, I will say this about that, because some women are like, oh, my gosh, it's so much work to do all that. Yeah, right. It's just easier to not do all that. Now, there's a reality in it. Like, I would say, if your makeup routine is 45 minutes or your hair routine is 1 hour, those kind of things, okay, find something that's simple. Like, I don't do a heavy makeup.
You're not going out to like a ball. You're not putting on
I'm not like doing my hair this grandiose way, but I'm just presenting myself or putting myself in some sort of presentable manner. But I'm not going like, it's not a whole 2-hour routine like some women have. Like, I'm fascinated. I've never had a makeup routine that took more than 15 minutes ever. Simple. I think I'm wearing the same makeup I wore when we got married or when we were dating.
Okay.
I haven't really changed it up. So it's not hard for me, but it works because it's easy. So find something that's easy.
Good point.
That is doable. Otherwise, you're not going to do it.
And let me just say this for the guys that just zoned out for a few minutes. As men, we believe that the Word of God says that we are to work. We're supposed to have a job, So you should have something that you do to bring an earning and finances in. So whether you're going away or you work at home, there is a process of preparing for that as well. And I think it's important to be sensitive before you leave. If you leave, or if you're at home and you go upstairs and you close the door in your office, whatever, to make sure that your wife is properly prepared. You don't want to leave the home and she's like there's a major meltdown going on in the house. And you just, okay, I'll see you later. There needs to be some sort of interaction to make sure that everything is okay. You're not leaving your wife in an unhealthy situation. Is that okay to say?
I mean,
does that make sense?
Yes, but there also is a reality that there might be a situation, but he has to leave. He's got to be at a job at a certain time.
Sure.
So
it's just being sensitive,
yes,
I think. Okay.
Exactly.
So now you're getting into the day. Tell them about the journey you're on right now with the kids.
Okay. So about a year and a half ago, the Lord called me to homeschool the younger group. So I started that about a year and a half ago.
Now pause for a moment, because I'm going to ask you things, because not everybody understands the Lord called me. What does that look like? What does that mean?
I prayed about it. Okay. I pray a lot over my life, and I ask the Lord to speak to me, to show me things so that I'm not making decisions based on what I want, more based on what the Holy Spirit, what the Lord wants for my life, because I've learned years ago that it's just better when He makes the decisions and I just obey what He says, even when I don't want to do it, versus me doing what I want and hoping the Lord blesses it.
That's good.
So, my kids have always gone to public school. Where we live, I've always put them in public school, and I had no problems with that. I feel like they thrive there. 2 of them
graduated from public school?
Yeah, we're about to have one to graduate.
Right. 2 of them are in high school right now.
Yeah, so.
Great teachers in our school system.
Yeah.
Many of them love Jesus. Yeah.
So I've always been okay with that. We've actually been around a lot of the homeschool community.
Yeah.
And that was new for me when we moved here, because when we're up in New Jersey, when we grew up, I didn't know anybody that was really homeschooled. That was kind of a foreign concept to me. I'm like, what is happening? What do you mean you stay home and you have school? What, your mom knows how to teach you? Are you smart? Like, I just didn't have any frame of reference for that. So when we moved here and we met a lot of families that homeschooled, they would like kind of almost like, want to inspire, like encourage me, and I'd be like, that's cute. You guys go on and do your thing, and God bless you.
Let's be honest. Kind of the idea we had thought was homeschoolers are more like the people that they make their own clothes and they, they don't.
I mean, that's a stereotype.
They kind
that's
of are
a
from
joke.
The 1800s and Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie, that they were homeschoolers.
No, mine was like I barely made it out of high school. How am I going to teach my kids? Right. And I didn't enjoy the experience. I was like, get me out of here.
That's right. So the process has now been, the Lord has, I'll sum it up this way. The Lord has put the right people around us. We've seen healthy examples of homeschooling. We've watched kids excel that went through homeschooling. We've seen a transformation begin to take place in the public school system, not necessarily good. And you've been praying and just seeking the Lord, is like, do I need to actually train and equip my kids myself?
Well, and through praying about it, the Lord actually, I was praying like, Lord, give me a heart for my children, which is kind of odd to pray, right? Like a mother should always have a heart for her children, but, more like a heart, what's best for them, right? What's best for my kids as I raise them. And I just really felt like when they were in school too, part of it was like I was giving them off to literally strangers, if you think about it. Like, I mean, the teachers in school, I don't know them. It's just I meet them one time and then I'd say, here's my child for 8 hours a day. Yeah. And I just was convicted by that. Like, I should be the one imparting who I am to my children and not like a teacher in the school. That was just how I felt. So I was like, you know what? I want to pour the best of myself into these little ones, as he's changed my heart. And so that was part of my journey. So here we are. Yeah. And it's been a year and a half of schooling. Wow. And wow. What a journey it has been. And you've done a tremendous job, I have to say. I mean, it's a growing that's
thing.
Questionable.
Well, and we could talk about this maybe in another episode.
Yeah, we'll do another episode.
There's a lot to unpack there. But I will say we now have a room that is dedicated towards school.
Area. Yeah, it's really like, it's nothing glamorous, okay? So the front room in our home that is supposed to be like a living room or whatever, I just kind of made it into a space where I can teach and they can store their books and all that stuff. So we do that. Like I try to come down. I'm still a year and a half later trying to establish what a routine looks like for them schooling, because part of the homeschool thing is, I just have a framework from how I did school, right? And so I try to follow that, but then knowing like, okay, that's not how it's supposed to be a natural way of life. So I'm still learning how to do that while learning how to do geometry and all these things. So
and and one of the kids is like, should I go back to public school?
I'm like, I guess I'm not doing that great of a job.
Are you having a problem with your teacher right now? Anyways, it's a journey, but we're on it. LeeAnn's doing a tremendous job, and I try to support you as much. And there's a whole lot we could talk about, but let's kind of forward through that into the afternoon. What does an afternoon look like as a parent of 10 kids?
So, we'll try to get that little bit of schooling in. And then once that's done, we're eating lunch.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the eating lunch.
Lunch thing. I've always struggled with meals and meal preps and coming up with what to feed all these people who have opinions and preferences. And so, I feel like lunch should be like a sandwich of some sort, and where the kids are like, I don't want a sandwich. I'm like, well, what do you want? They don't know. And so I'm like, sandwiches are lunch time meals. That's what you have at the lunchtime hour. So I promote peanut butter and jelly and peanut butter sandwiches. Not a lot of our kids don't like jelly. Do you know? Actually, they don't like peanut butter and jelly together. There's a couple that do, and the other ones like just jelly or just peanut butter. Side note.
That's not me.
Turkey, cheese, frozen pizza. Like, I'm not like, I will though try to put some cucumbers or peppers, some sort of vegetable on there to get some health in there.
It's not nearly as like organized as you would think like a family of 10 would be. to me, it's kind of chaotic in that some of the older kids will be home. They'll
It's a
come
controlled chaos, though.
But it is. And I think that's okay. And it works for us. Because I think sometimes people think, well, you have 10 kids, they must line up. It must be like a cafeteria where they bring their plate and you put something, they please, sir, may I have some more? And you move on. And it's not really like that.
No, not at all. But we make it work.
But they eat and they live.
Right. So we'll do the lunchtime thing. And
what's a hack? What's a food hack for you?
A food hack. Oh,
10 kids.
I mean,
now some of them are gone. Some of them went to school. Some of them are at work. But like for the most part, the majority of the kids are there. So what would you say is a food hack you use for that?
I mean, obviously preparation is always a hack. Like,
I mean,
be prepared,
our
like
food
have
bill
the
is
things ready to go.
Yeah, we got a lot of food. So just so you know, we have a refrigerator freezer in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. We have 2 more refrigerator freezers in the garage and 2 freezers in the garage.
Yeah.
So we have a combination. We have a total of 5 units, plus 2.
There's a lot of mouths to feed.
Cupboards, right?
Oh, pantries.
2 of them, plus all our cabinets, and I feel like it's still never enough. People are always complaining there's no food. There's no food. What are you talking about? There's no food.
I think that's every parent. It's
my God. It's like the nails on the chalkboard to me. There's no food. We just spent $800 at Costco. So that's one of our largest bills.
Yeah.
Right? It's the food bill.
Yeah.
It's never stops.
Never stops.
And the older they get, the more they eat.
It's true.
And then the fact that they eat it and then I don't want this. It's like little pieces and you got to go get something else. And
no, well,
I feel a little bitter. I feel like this is the old person in me.
I know. Let's move on.
Angry, bitter old man.
So we're eating.
So you're eating.
We
Go ahead.
eat
Let's
the
move
lunch,
on.
and
yes.
we try to pick up. I try to pick up along the way, right? So I'm constantly loading the dishwasher, trying to train them to load the dishwasher. Yeah. It's still a fight. Yeah. To get it from the sink to the dishwasher.
Yeah, and we have the same problem that many of you have probably, which is like, the dishwasher is completely open and available, but they throw all their plates in the sink.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It really is. At the same time, it's so true.
It's just like, what's happening?
It's just easier to toss it. No, and so we make a point. So this is the thing, like one of the things I'll share is don't give up. Like I make a point of it all the time. Dishwasher, or just say it and they know right away, okay, I got to take it out. But like, don't give up.
You can't be like your New Year's resolution and
right.
give up.
There is no quitter's day in parenting. Imagine if it was January, is the second Friday in
consistency
January.
Is key when you're parenting.
Yes. Okay.
So, I'm trying to train them throughout the day to pick up their toys. My big thing is, once you play with it, put it away because then at the end of the day, you have to go back and there's a bigger mess to clean up.
We'll get to that at the end of the day. That's
well,
good.
I'm just saying throughout the day, I'm training them so that by the end of the day, they don't have a big thing to do.
Good.
And then we'll go out. Usually in the afternoon, we're either playing outside or we're going to run errands or meeting a friend for play.
Our kids are good outside kids. Yeah. They're also no shoe kids. So they're always constantly grounding.
Oh my gosh.
They're always grounded. Go ahead.
So, that's usually what the afternoon, a play date with a friend or whatever. So
yeah, there's always out. Okay. So we're getting through now. Now we're coming in the afternoon. At this point, some of the kids are coming back from school. I'll usually come home at some point before dinner. We're there. But my schedule's a little loose because I am in ministry. I'm a pastor, so I run a church. So a lot of times I'm back and forth. So I may come home, be able to be home one day where I'll be out that night or whatever. It's flexible. I can help you with things like doctor's appointments and stuff. But with all that said, nighttime is always, you're already, I know this for you because you've said this many times. The challenge is, what are we going to eat for dinner? Like, it's one of the worst things that you seem to be stressed about the most. We even have a chalkboard with, like, you try to put on there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I can't, guys. It will be the death of me trying to figure out what to feed these people.
Why does dinner?
Why does it challenge you so much? It's all the meals because it's like I have to think of breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 11 people, 12 including me, every single day.
And there's different eating.
I saw a
patterns.
meme that said, it says, go to jail or prepare the meals for your family.
Oh, really? Okay.
Jails, you get your meals provided for
Oh,
you.
you get your meal. Yeah, that's true.
And I'm like, oh, isn't that the truth?
Like a
Because
3-course meal.
it's just, I guess because I'm still learning how to, after all this time, how to meal prep. And
Yeah.
I think in my head, if
Yeah.
I get it to a certain like schedule or this thing where it's like, okay, this week we're having chicken, steak, and fish. And the next week we're
Wow.
having potatoes, pasta, this.
Okay, lots
If
of
I get it
carbs.
set up,
Okay.
I think I'll get sick of it. I'll be like, I don't want to do that.
Okay, so it's a
So
lot
it's
of
like
pressure you put on yourself.
it's putting pressure on
Yeah, yeah,
myself
yeah.
and trying
And-
to figure out like what everybody wants.
And I try to help with this too. Like, I'll come home and what do we eating? And you'll say, hey, could you handle the chicken or do the vegetables, cuts the vegetables, whatever that is. But it is a big deal. And here's the thing that we really, it's almost like it's not an option. Well, let me say it this way. We strongly suggest and strongly encourage everyone to sit around the table at night and eat.
Yes, that's huge.
Breakfast may be sporadic. People have to go to work or they got to go to school. Lunch is kind of, obviously there's a certain group of kids that are home. A lot of us are out. But dinner, we all need to get around the table and eat together. And there are studies that show that just doing that alone makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think it's pretty significant. Like I want to make a core memory in my children that we sat around the table. Yeah. That's a time to talk about their day.
Yeah. Or just be there. Like don't bring your phone. We don't have that. We're not doing those kind of things. Like even if we're not asking, because we sometimes like to ask questions, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's your favorite part of the day?
Part
We
of
used
the
to ask
day?
a lot. A lot of times we'll just say, okay, what happened today?
Yeah,
Or we'll
what'd you
talk.
do?
Yeah. But the thing that we want to make sure is at least everybody's engaged.
Right.
Right.
There.
And we don't have a table that's big enough to fit everybody. So we have to pull in chairs and.
Yeah. But we make it work. I used to stress about that. Like, oh, this isn't what I want it to be. But I'm like, whatever. As long as we're all there, the kids, that's what they'll remember. They're not going to necessarily remember that we all didn't fit around the table. They're going to remember that we were there or what kind of food we ate.
Which, by the way, let's share. What are some things that all the kids enjoy eating? Like, because it's very, very small amount of things that everybody eats together. Like, somebody doesn't eat pasta, which I don't understand. Your last name's Rampula. You should be eating pasta. There's something wrong with you. But there's
true.
like some people don't like, what? I mean, what's something that everybody enjoys to eat?
The two things that most everybody can eat is pizza and Mexican, some sort of taco type thing.
But I was going to say what I know every one of our kids eats, from the smallest to the oldest, is salmon.
Oh, yeah. Well, they got bougie on us.
They're bougie.
I was like,
How did that
okay,
happen?
even our little 2-year-old eating salmon.
I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, so they
they
do
got
all
high-class
enjoy
taste.
salmon.
Yeah,
That is one thing.
They do. So we eat dinner. We try to make sure everybody helps clean up some form or fashion, because cleanup by far is the biggest deal.
It is.
I feel like the kitchen is if it's clean, it's only for a certain small amount of time. And if we had our perfect way, we'd probably have, like I said, another dishwasher, definitely a bigger sink, a bigger preparation island, right?
Yeah.
Larger refrigerator in the kitchen. These are all things that would help us. But what we have now, we make it
work. Yeah.
Our microwave broke. How long ago has it been?
I don't know, but we don't need a microwave.
Yeah, we don't use microwave.
We discovered that you can live life without a microwave.
You can.
And
It's
we're
actually
doing it.
healthier too, I think. But we don't have a microwave, so some people wonder, well, how do you do all this stuff? You kind of make it. You get in a rhythm.
You prep it, you make it,
kids
you
are
do
learning
it.
how to do
Yeah,
it.
we train the kids.
Yeah.
Lots of chore things that'll probably be a whole nother episode
right.
we could do about.
And get your little kids to do chores. That's the other thing. Like, get them now to do chores so it becomes part of their lifestyle. Our older kids now, like, some of them are working, so they feel like they don't have to do chores, right? Like,
they got certain chores that they do. Everyone's got to keep up with their room. That's
good luck with that.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, not
another
that
episode.
they do, but that's
Yeah. But like they think like, well, because I'm older and I have a job, I don't need. I'm like, wait, when you have a house, you'll still have to come home and fix it. Yeah. So like those things we're trying to teach them. Our whole goal with our kids is to, and I'm not saying we're doing a great job of this, we're hopefully doing a good job, is to train them up to be successful, happy, healthy adults that contribute to society.
Yeah, and to train them to be consistent and steadfast and not be like the New Year's resolution where if it gets hard or it's boring or they don't want to do it, well, we're giving up. I don't want to do it anymore. No, a lot of parenting, a lot of life is mundane and hard and you don't want to do it. No, do I necessarily want to prep meals every week? Do I necessarily want to do laundry every day? All these things. No, but if I have to do I want clean clothes? Do I want a good meal?
There's been times where we've had a mound of clothes in our bathroom that we have to literally crawl over to get to the toilet, and we realize it's time to do laundry. Oh my gosh. Right? I mean, it's just like I think that thing that people might think is that you have to have a very strict routine to run a household of 10 kids. But the challenge that we found is that can be a challenge, and you could work your whole life and be a slave to routine.
Exactly.
So what we found is that it's routine and flexibility.
Exactly.
Right? Speaking of that, because that may liberate a lot of people listening here today.
I'm all about routine, but I'm all about breaking the routine. So I need structures. I need schedules. I need plans. And otherwise, this family is just going to be a hot mess. It'll be completely chaotic.
Yeah.
Nothing will get done. So I'm all about that, but I'm also about, okay, I know today I'm supposed to do the laundry, but you know what? I think we're going to go here instead. Or I know today I had planned to make this, but you know what? I think I'm going to do this instead. So not being a slave to, okay, I got to get this done because I'm very I have to get this done. I'm on a schedule. I don't want to get behind.
Right.
But then you could miss out on certain things. Like your kid wants you to, Mom, read this book, or Mom, come watch me ride my bike.
Those
or,
moments.
And I'm like, well, no, I have to get dinner ready and it's like, okay, no, stop, break your routine, break your schedule and go enjoy the life you're trying to create instead of being structured and missing out on it.
And I think one of the things too that needs to be stated is, yes, there are different roles that a man and a woman, a father and a mother may provide for their kids, but we absolutely need to be cross-trained. And what I mean by that is that as a man, I still need to know how to change a diaper, give the kids a bath, cook a meal, do those things, because there are times where what you do, you need the help or you can't do it.
Yeah.
And so we will, at the end of the night is really when things get a little interesting, because we will spend some time deciding who's going to do what. It's almost like we go into zone defense instead of man-to-man. You can't do man-to-man with 10 kids. So zone defense is, okay, do you want to clean the kitchen or do you want to give the kids a bath? And so then we'll figure out which one we want to do depending on how many pots and pans got destroyed for
exactly.
dinner. And so then
I'm usually always going for the kitchen though.
Right.
I'm bath time. There's something about bath time that I'm like, it's so boring.
And let me just say this, because this is important too. Kids don't get a bath every day.
I do not bathe my children.
Free people right now. Free them up to let them know.
Yeah,
okay.
I just do not. I don't know. I've been like that for so long that I'm like, they don't get a bath every single day. So
yeah. Okay, so here they are now. We're talking through that. We're at the nighttime. Kids go in the bed. We have, I think it's safe to say, 3 or 4 different bedtimes. Would you say?
Yes.
With our ages right now.
Yeah, there's 3. I
so
think
there's
we're in
one
a
group
3.
of kids. There's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 kids go to bed.
No, that's 5. I think 5. No, 4. Yeah, you're right. 4.
And then there's a 3.
A group of 3.
A group of 3.
And then the older ones.
The older ones.
Whenever they go to bed.
Some of
Who
them,
knows?
yeah. So those are the groups. So our challenge then is to be present for all 3 groups of kids.
All 3 wonderful groups of kids.
And be old.
And I know I don't get up at 5:30.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out how do you do that, right? Because you got the first little kids that you need to be present for, and
it's so hard because when I remember, when the kids were younger and you'd have the time, and what was that 8:00, and you're putting them to bed, and then you'd be like,
right,
we're doing nothing, right? We're just gonna sit down, watch a movie, or whatever. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, well, one group's down now. Right. Let's move on to the next
Focus
group.
on the next group. And then the next group has another level of energy that the first group didn't have. And what we try to do is make sure that everybody puts their toys away from the day. Now,
Cleans up from themselves.
cleans up. Now, we're not super stringent on that, but we're pretty good at it, I think.
I
For a family
feel,
of 10,
yes.
I feel like we do a pretty good job of instilling that in our kids, and they start to do it because we feel like when you wake up the next day.
Right. I want to start off ahead. So I feel I can start, if my house is picked up, the dishes are out of the sink, everything's set up for me to start the next day, I feel like I'm winning. Now, that doesn't always happen because there are some nights where I'm like, I am done. You can leave this house destroyed for all I care because I'm just going to sit here and check out because it's been a long day.
Some days.
So, but for the most part, I want to start my day off strong, which would be all cleaned up, all put together.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's grace for not being able to do that every day.
Yes.
That has to be said because sometimes you just feel exhausted or you got something going on at night. We sometimes will have church events or something will happen during the week and you're just like, look, we're going to go to bed. But there is a pattern. I think it's part of that pattern of waking up, and the successful people, they make their bed, they set things up for success. They have routine. Same thing with the nighttime. It's how you set up yourself so that, again, everything is training these kids up for the future. So our goal is that these kids won't have a house that's completely disheveled.
Yeah, and training them up like that. If you know that the next day you have somewhere to be or you have things where it's going to be a busy full day, I always set myself up the night before, like every Saturday night. Like Mark has been gone for 15 years,
16 now with his
that
church.
I've gone and I take these kids to church all by myself.
Yeah. I mean,
every Sunday morning.
Right.
So
like, how many times do you think we've actually gone to church together?
Like 3 probably.
Really? I would say 5 over.
Okay, 16. You win 5. So, but I know I've learned, like, I have to set myself up for success the night before in order to accomplish so that I'm at church on time, because I really feel it's important for me to be there on time.
Yeah.
I want the kids to look presentable. I want to look presentable.
Yeah.
And
you
so
look great, by the
in
way.
order to set that up, I'm picking out their clothes the night before. Yeah. They all like to pack a little backpack of stuff. So they're prepping their water bottles and their snacks and their Bibles. And we're packing that all up the night before, so that in the morning when it does get chaotic and hectic and we're running around, I'm trying to get ready, and it just helps it be a little more easier. Yeah,
you do a tremendous job. I mean, you look great. You show up on church. The kids look well. I mean, it is without a doubt you're a superhero on Sundays. There'll be occasionally
about the rest of the week.
Well, I'm just saying the rest of the week, as well. But I'm just saying, especially Sunday, because you've been coming to church by yourself for a long time, or with the kids,
But again, 16 years now. This is all I know. It's not hard anymore. It's like good. This is my rhythm and my routine. So, and this is what I've been consistent in. So, at this point, this is not hard for me. And
I think that's the key. Like when people are blown away by like, how do you raise 10 kids? What's a normal day look like? It's all we know. Like we didn't just wake up one day and bam, 10 kids showed up at our doorstep. It was a progression over time. It started out 1 and then was 2. And so we've just kind of grown into this role. And that's the thing about it. Like if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I could never have 10 kids, probably not right away. But if you work your way towards it, you may find yourself having 6 kids or 5 kids or 8 kids. And you may go, hey, I can do this. And people may look at you and think, well, you're insane. We have 1 or 2 kids. How do you do that? And again, it's all about perspective. It's what you're used to, but you're developing a pattern. And I think the thing that I want people to hear from you and from me today is that there is no cheat code. Right? There's little things you can do, like, preparing the kids' clothes the day before, or, food prep or whatever that is. But cheat codes to me, like when somebody says, if you do this, you're going to be happy. And then you work towards doing that all the time and you're stressed out and it's not your lane. It's not your routine. And you're working towards trying to feel like I got to be like this person. You find your rhythm.
Right.
Find out what works for your life. What kind of job is he at home? Is he a stay-at-home? Like, does he work from home or does he go to an office? What time does he get back? So those are things that can set you you up for success or
Exactly.
failure.
Exactly.
Because like, I think the number one thing we know this is that we want our kids to love Jesus, and we want them to go to church because they love the church. And so far they do both of those things. But the moment that we start to allow the routine to dictate anything more than it should, does that make sense? Like all of a sudden it's like, you know, you're going to do this and you're going to go to church, and we push this pressure on them and we make it like a punishment. Then people start to rebel. That's what I find, like most people find their kids rebelling is because they made the routine more important than the child.
Yeah. What do they say? They call it a lifestyle. So you have to style your life
Well, it's good.
in
Come
the
on
way
now.
that
Yeah.
works for you and your family.
Yeah.
And only you will know that, right? Only you're going to know what works for your family and
That's
your
right.
routines, and when you should have lunch, when you should prep meals, when you go grocery shopping, when you go to church, you know, all these things is the style. But underneath all that, it should be, for us anyway, it's what does the Lord want for this family?
Yeah.
What am I my ultimate goal is to have my family be what God wanted it to be, not necessarily what I wanted to be, because there's a lot of things that I would do differently, but this is what the Lord has. So
Right.
if I follow that, I know I'll be successful
Yeah.
in the family life.
And going back to Quitter's Day and New Year's resolutions, the challenge with them is that people sometimes pick things that they aren't able to sustain. So
Right.
like when someone says, like, for example, I'm going to go to the gym every day, that's probably a too lofty of a goal if you've never been to the gym.
Exactly.
But if you say, I'm going to try to go at least 3 times a week, that could be obtainable.
Right.
Somebody says, I'm going to eat healthy, and they fail by the second Friday of the month of January, it's because they decided to cut down everything. Whereas they could say, I'm going to stop eating sugar, or I'm going to stop eating after dinner. Those things can be obtainable. And I think if we could say anything to parents today is make it look like, approach it from the standpoint like this is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's good. And even I'll take it from a workout perspective that I don't necessarily do, but I hear of.
Look great though. Like, I don't know how you do 10 kids.
You know,
like
we'll go back to the Sunday morning, and I've been doing it by myself for all those years. Well, if I go back to the beginning, yeah, it might have been hard, but I had to work on it. Just like if I start at the gym, I can only lift 5 pounds, but if I keep working on it, eventually I'm going to get up to 20.
Well,
right. And so if in the beginning of the taking the kids, you know, it might have been a little bit harder, but as I worked on it and developed it, now 16 years later, I can lift heavier things and I can do it.
And I even think like it even goes back even further to when your parents raised you and they brought you to church every Sunday. So like this is something that's been in your life for so long.
It's instilled in me.
That you just know like, hey, I'm going to go to church on Sunday and my kids are going to go too, because you see the pattern and the blessing that takes place from it. So many times we build off of what we know. And so for people listening today, there may be things, patterns that you have to break. And that's a whole nother thing. Like maybe there's certain things that you do, like we don't sit at the table every night. You know, one person takes their food up to their bedroom. Another one goes and sits in front of the TV, and one goes outside under a tree. And you're like, hey, we got to get everybody back together. So what do? You say, okay, every Thursday night, we're going to eat dinner together.
Yeah, make baby steps.
Right, baby steps. It's like, okay, and then next thing you know, it's every Tuesday and Thursday. And then the kids are like, hey, can we eat together on Wednesdays? And you're like, yeah. And it just, those little steps that we found, like even as we're preparing food now, we've gotten into a rhythm where certain kids will jump into certain things because they enjoy doing things. Yeah. And we realize like, it's okay if one night one person eats cereal, the other person eats chicken nuggets, the other person eats, a sandwich. Like we're just like, we give the flexibility and the freedom to live life and to focus more on what is in the moment than try to figure out that we have to be perfect to a routine.
Right. Focus more on the people than the preparation or
and
the
that
plan.
changes every day.
Right.
So that's why even this topic, a day in the life of a parent of 10 kids, it's hard to really express because there is no typical day in the life.
Right. Not every day is exactly the same.
Right.
So it is kind of hard to explain, but at least this gives a little bit of an eye into what life looks like.
There's a lot. And I feel like we can't share everything in this episode because then we won't have enough for the other ones. So this is just a teaser to the rest of the season.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Season 2. So let's do this. We do this every time we do this. What is your 10 and 2? What are 2 points in 10 seconds that you're going to share?
Number 1, I would say have your routine, but be flexible.
That was okay.
Which I feel like is 2 things, right?
Yeah,
have your routine and be flexible. And then number 2 is just enjoy the life that you're in. If you have to make changes, but enjoy the people that God put in your life.
Both of those are good. I would say this. I'd say, number 1, start out with baby steps, whatever you're doing. You want to raise a large family or even just a small family and you want to institute certain things, don't bite off more than you can chew. And then the other thing would be is, learn how to cover each other. So, being able to do, for me to be able to know how to do the laundry and cook a meal and give the kids a bath, that's essential in the balance of home so that you're not feeling the pressure to do everything and I'm feeling the pressure to do everything. We're doing it together.
Divide and conquer.
Does that make sense? You like that one?
I like that, but now I'm like, okay, well, I guess I have to bring the trash out.
You got to learn how to cut the lawn. I'm just kidding.
The lawn.
I'm kidding. You're amazing. All right, that's this episode 1 of season 2, or as we call it, episode 10. Thank you for following along. Yes. We're looking forward to more this season with you. And again, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And listen to this. What? Send us questions.
Yes, don't forget to send your questions.
Let's know
enjoy
what you're thinking.
the new year.
Okay, there we go. Great job.